Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Samuel again, and today I'm going to talk about the big stair, Firesheep. Firesheep basically is an extension, it's an add-on to Firefox that lets a user just sit down there and intercept your cookies and steal your cookies, and it's able to see what you are looking at. So I'm going to explain I'm not going to be very technical. I'm just going to be very plain and simple and kind of explain to users out there to educate people on what this is and what can be done about it. So like I said, Firesheep just sits there and intercepts your traffic between your computer and a web server. So I'm going to explain this a little further. Whenever you open up your browser, Internet Explorer or whatever, and you type in a website address and you hit enter. As soon as you hit enter, you establish a connection between you and the web server. Once this connection is established, there's going to be information sent back and forth, and the way that this information is managed is by using session cookies. So once you've established a session with that web server, it's your initial connection, then everything that you're doing back and forth is going to be managed by the cookies, and the cookies are stored on your computer and on the web server. So what Firesheep is doing is it's going in there and it's pulling those cookies that you are using, and since it's been able to access that, then now it can see what you are seeing on your computer. So if somebody, if you logged on a public network and somebody has that running, then they can easily see your cookies and see what you're doing. Okay, now I'm going to explain a few things to make this even clearer. Uh, this can be prevented, okay, because the data between you and the web server can be encrypted. If it's encrypted, then this is not going to work for Firesheep or any other sniffers out there like that. But the sad part is that most of our websites now are just running unencrypted. That means that when you go over here, you're going to see a little HTTP. This is Facebook and it has HTTP, and HTTP simply means that it's plain and simple, it is not encrypted. If you see HTTPS, that means that the information that you're sending between you and that website is encrypted. The most common places you see this is whenever you're prompted to log in your bank account or any place that needs to be secure. You usually see an HTTPS or a little lock in the bottom right over there, which is lit up. This one is not lit up because it's not HTTPS. But anyways, HTTPS is what encrypts your data between you and that web server. The sad part though is that HTTPS produces a lot of overhead. So a lot of websites are just using it only for the initial state where you log on, you enter your username and password. And once you enter your username and password, you default back to HTTP, which is unencrypted. So once you pass the login state, everything is still wide open, and that's when Firesheep pounces on this, and that is the vulnerability that Firesheep is exploiting. The sad part though is that this has been out, cookie hijacking has been out for a long time, and I mean, it's been sophisticated. You had to know what you're doing to be able to do it. What is disturbing now though is this Firesheep has made it so easy, and it's been implemented in such a way that a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid can just install this and hijack your session and see what you're seeing on your computer in a public network. So with that being said, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like, and after that I'm going to talk about ways that we can try to fix this, or try to stay away from being victims of such silly stuff. So anyways, this is Facebook. Some people didn't even know this, that Facebook has the HTTP, which is encrypted, and you can also access Facebook using the HTTPS, which is encrypted, and I'm going to show you how both work. Like I said, even though it's HTTPS, it's only at the login stage. Once you log in, that protects your username and password at that stage, so nobody can sniff your username and password because it's using HTTPS. But what happens when I log in? As soon as I log in, bam, look over there, it's back to HTTP. So from here on, everything is just wide open, and this is where programs like uh, Firesheep or Hamster and Ferret or whatever can intercept your cookies and see what you are looking at. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. If you haven't seen what the Firesheep program looks like, or the add-on looks like, I'm going to show you how it works. So this is, I'm using Internet Explorer here. I'm going to open my Firefox, um, and this is it. It's just simple as that. It's an add-on that is installed over here, and whenever I click start capturing, it's gonna start capturing, any cookies that I lose over there. And the way they've implemented this is that if you go even to preferences, um, excuse me, okay, if you go into preferences, they're predefined websites. So this program, this add-on, is looking at all these websites like Amazon, CNET, Facebook, Flickr, Twitter, Google. It's predefined in there, and it's looking at all these things. So the user doesn't really have to do anything. And now look over here. Once I started capturing, when I logged on my Facebook, it automatically pulled this over here. So now I can just click over here if I'm the bad guy, and look, I didn't even have to log in, because they are using my session cookies that I use. So now they can see exactly what I'm seeing. They can change my status, they can send email or whatnot. The only thing though is that they don't have your username and password, because that was encrypted and it's sent already. But the cookies that are left is what they're using to kind of see what you were seeing. So you're gonna ask, how do you protect yourself from such a thing? The key though, like I said, I've already mentioned, is to encrypt your connection between you and the web server. And the only way to do that is to use your HTTPS. So over here we have HTTP. Now fortunately, the same Firefox that came up that allowed for this Firesheep to be ran also has a lot of add-ons to kind of counter this. Okay, so some of these add-ons are, there's one called Force TLS. So I'm going to show you where you can download that. Just go to add-ons and just search for Force TLS. Okay, and here it is. All you got to do is install this, and it will be in your add-ons. Now the good thing is that this is forcing you to encrypt your data, instead of you having to go in and manually type in HTTPS or whatnot, or trying to encrypt your data hard coded, or however you can do it. This does it for you. So it forces an HTTPS connection to websites that can support HTTPS. Like I said, not all web servers will transmit encrypted data. So if the websites such as Facebook supports both HTTP and HTTPS, Force TLS is one of these add-ons that can help you encrypt your data between you and any website. The good thing though is that Force TLS also lets you list a bunch of websites that you want encrypted. So you can manually, once you have it installed, you can manually go in there and, for example, put in Facebook and put in Gmail or whatever. And once you specify those in there, every time you go to the website, Force TLS will force HTTPS encryption between you and the web server. And this, bear in mind, if the web server supports HTTPS traffic, then your data is going to be encrypted. There's another one out there that is called HTTPS Everywhere. HTTPS Everywhere is another add-on that you can also install and then do the same thing for you. So my advice is, be careful, watch what you're putting on the internet anyways. That's no brainer. But the most important thing is, if you have your laptops out and you go to a public place, if you really, unless you really have to, I don't recommend getting on any kind of public Wi-Fi access unless you desperately need to. The other thing that I would recommend is that even at home, a lot of people don't have their wireless routers secured. There's a lot of people around now that are just driving around, cold war driving, just drive around with a laptop and looking for wireless access points or home routers that are unsecured, and they're getting in that way. So I advise that if you don't have your home wireless router secured, you can Google up, how to set a password or how to set encryption on your wireless router, and that should keep you safe. But my advice though is, if you're outside, if you really 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 need to, then use a public Wi-Fi network. But if you don't have to, don't do it, because there's all kinds of stuff out there to get you. So anyways, this is my spill for now, and if you have any questions or you need any help with anything, like I said, I kept this really non-technical for people that are not technical, because I really want this to be able to help some people. But if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to email me, or drop me a line in the comments, and I'll try to respond. I usually try to respond as fast as I can. So you guys have a good day. Thanks.